South African Local Government Association Chief Operating Officer Lance Joel joins us now for more on this conversation. Lance, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks very much for your time. I mean, is it not, I mean, it shouldn't have taken, I think, the electoral performance of the ANC for them to actually begin to focus on local government. I mean, local government problems are well documented, aren't they?
Well, good afternoon, Vuyo, and also greetings to the viewers. You are absolutely spot on. From a Salga perspective, it is our view that local government for the longest time has been neglected and there's not sufficient focus on assisting local government to achieve its constitutional objectives. So we welcome the calls made to focus on local government, particularly in the context as we are marching towards, well, we're halfway through the current term of office, and we're marching towards the next elections in 2026. So we welcome this attempt, and we're hoping that other political parties will follow suit.
What is at the heart? Would you say? Okay, let's park political infighting and the like for a second. Just focus, perhaps a bit narrowly, on some of the challenges that are not, shall we say, man-made. In other words, what is at the heart of the problems of local government before we even talk about, political leadership?
Well, we will summarize it in three ways, and you are correct. The problems with local government are well documented. A starting point is the financial sustainability of municipalities. At the core of the challenges of municipalities is its inability to self-sustain itself financially, particularly because we have seen that there's over-reliance on the surcharges that households, business, and government itself pays to municipalities. So typically for your water, for your electricity, property rates, taxes, there's been reliance on that source of income to sustain municipalities. And we have seen over the years that municipalities are not collecting what is due to them. As we speak, municipalities are owed in excess of 346 billion rands for services already rendered. So at the core of it, firstly, the financial sustainability of municipalities. Secondly, it is the dilapidated service delivery infrastructure. So municipalities have for the longest time, not through their own, but through the fact that they can't collect monies in order to maintain their infrastructure, municipal infrastructure has been left unmaintained and it is left dilapidated. The third area is around systems and processes, lacking the appropriate systems and processes in order to execute the delivery of services. So for us, outside of the leadership issues, which is also core to the problem, those are the three key challenges that are deep-rooted within municipalities, and many attempts have been made to resolve those, but there's never been a collective effort to resolve those. We welcome an opportunity for all and sundry, provincial, national, together with local government, to respond to the challenges of local government.
Now, is it because, has anyone done any studies to determine whether it's because people don't want to pay, even though they can, or is it a question in many instances of simply people being unable to pay, because they're unemployed or any other reason? Has that been objectively determined?
Yeah, no, we've done an assessment, and it's a combination of things, Vuyo. It's correct that we do have an economy that is struggling, and we have a lot of people that have moved from being employed to getting onto an indigent register in a municipality. So the economy is not running well, and it's an area that must be addressed, and that impacts on the ability of people to pay. Secondly, as you have said, it is also people that just do not want to pay. So people would pay for their cell phone contracts, they would pay for their DStv contracts, but they will not pay for municipal services. So we've also seen those that are unwilling to pay. And then thirdly, there are people that, of course, are questioning what is invoiced to them. And unless and until those queries have been addressed, they are not paying. So it's a combination of factors, but it is not one size fits all. It's a combination. And I think we need a holistic approach in wanting to address those. But the first one is we must be calling on households, we must be calling on business, and we must be calling on government to service their debt to municipalities. Today we are at Polokwane as we are preparing for a big meeting of mayors and speakers happening on Wednesday and Thursday this week. And we were met today with residents that have been disconnected from services because they've not been paying. And the queues are long and are going to probably be long for the remainder of this week, because now municipalities are starting to implement the credit control mechanisms in order to collect what is due to them. And it's creating unhappiness within communities because people are now left without electricity, not because there's no electricity, but because they have elected not to pay. And we are indeed encouraging municipalities to continue to implement the credit control mechanisms. Of course, being mindful that there are limitations to disconnections so that it does not ultimately negatively impact on the broader communities that find expression in the areas where disconnections are happening.
Financial sustainability, of course, affects workers as well. I mean, only last week we saw union representatives coming out saying the offer that you guys have put on the table is not even worth tabling before the workers because it's just very little. It's an insult.
Well, there's a context to the proposal that Salga has made, and that context is the reality that municipalities are under tremendous financial constraints, that there are a number of factors that are considered when coming to a proposal for salary increases. So it's not an irresponsible thumb-sucking of an increase. It is taking cognizance of the current realities that municipalities are facing, taking cognizance of the economy that is struggling, and therefore making proposals that indeed is still wanting to address the ever-increasing prices that workers face, but obviously at the backdrop that municipalities are struggling financially.
Of course, I mean, this conversation can't be complete without talking about political leadership as well. The people you are going to meet on Wednesday and Thursday, your mayors, your speakers, and the like, their role in what we see in local government.
Well, Vuyo, I think all of us must be mindful of the fact that running a municipality is a complex business. Very complex. And I think we have simplified it for too long. We think that running a municipality, and you've used earlier an example of Johannesburg, where the president said there's going to be a focus on Johannesburg, an 84 billion rand budget. It's a very complex business. And therefore, we do need appropriately skilled and qualified people to lead us politically, to be able to execute the objects of local government. So leadership is and has been a strong focus of Salga, and we have been calling on political parties to ensure that they deploy the appropriately skilled, qualified, and experienced individuals to lead our municipality. Because we do believe if we address the weaknesses within the leadership component, we would go a long way in responding to the needs of communities. Because you can take a perfectly and well-run municipality and put it in the hands of poor leadership, and that municipality will be running to the ground. But if you put it in the hands of appropriately skilled and qualified individuals, we would certainly see the sustained delivery of services to communities. And that is what we are calling for from all political parties.
But is our political system, as it stands, capable of giving us such?
Well, it is something that we personally at the Salga level feel it is something that should change. We think for too long have we allowed the system just to be run on autopilot. We believe that we need to influence, whether it's through legislation or through a regulatory framework around the type of people we would want to attract to take up positions both politically and administratively in municipalities. So there must be a deliberate approach to respond to the current weaknesses. For too long, we've allowed it to go on autopilot. For too long, we have said, let's allow things to mature. We are at a point that we now need to more deliberately influence the system to respond to what is required. And what is required is stronger political and administrative leadership in our municipalities. Of course, there are appropriately skilled and qualified people within the municipal system already. That's why we see municipalities doing well in the extension of services. But we need to address what has become the bigger weakness within the local government space.
Are there perfect examples out there, say in other jurisdictions, from which we can also learn?
Well, when we are meeting on Wednesday and Thursday this week, we are bringing together mayors and speakers. And at the core of it is for mayors where effectively there is good work being done to share with other mayors, with speakers where there is good work being done on the oversight, on the legislative part in municipalities, to come and share with their counterparts on what is working and what could be done to change the face of local government. So typically this week we will be focusing on sharing experiences between and amongst mayors and speakers, such that we can walk away after the two-day session where those good experiences could then be implemented in other municipalities where it is not well. There are good stories to be told, and this week we are creating a platform for those good stories to find expression between mayors and speakers as we are having this conversation this week.
Lance Shaw, let me thank you very much for your time and your insights. He's, of course, the Chief Operating Officer of the South African Local Government Association.